Hello and welcome to the Engerati studio at European Utility Week. We've got something that a bit last minute, but Haresh, thank you for making the time to be here. And one of the reasons for wanting you to be here is what happens at these events. You have a chance encounter and you come across something interesting. I will let you do most of the talking, but let me position it a little bit. You have brought to market a solution which optimizes the investment process for the utility, which is very different to some of the other conversations where people are looking at optimizing the utility side of things. So just tell us a little bit more about what it is you're trying to do, and
Sure.
then we'll move on to some of the market gaps and so on.
Well, thanks for the opportunity
Sure.
to meet. So the energy industry, I think, is going through a massive transformation. It's a 15-year, 20-year cycle. About $7 trillion needs to come in to be able to enable these new technologies to transform how energy is being produced. And what people, I think, forgot to realize is that there's a lot of technology that has to happen, but technology can only be fueled by the capital that comes in. Otherwise, and the two are very connected. When there's technology, it has to be looked at from the eyes of a financier. And a financier has a very different angle as to how they perceive risk. So what our software does today is it takes and brings in a whole new class of business process and methodology. Because today's world, up to the last 100 years, utilities have been investing in gigawatt-sized projects, and now they're trying to go to megawatt size. And that's a major discontinuity, and people fail to realize that, hey, listen, I've been building power plants my whole life for 100 years. I do it with people, I do it with email, I do it with Excel, and yeah, now I have storage, but those scales do not process. They are totally broken. And what ends up happening is that our customers end up 3 to 5xing their headcount. And when they get to that 3 to 5x inflection point, they start adding software kind of randomly. And at some point, what ends up happening is that even despite extra investment, their profitability goes down, and the ability to deploy more dollars and produce more electricity actually reduces. So we saw this trend and we just said, listen, if this business is going to scale, the industry needs a more efficient way to invest capital, and there's tremendous friction that has to be taken out. And our software basically digitized every phase of that investment process, from the day they collect information about a project, to how they diligence it, to how they pool it, and they manipulate it so that they can put it into the capital markets and recapitalize for lower cost of capital. Every one of those steps have hundreds of people involved, and we're digitizing that process to reduce cost.
So if I can replay that to you so that you can cross-check that I understand what it is. You're saying in the utility sector, when you go to market with projects, it's like nuclear power plants, huge, great big things. And now we're moving into a distributed generation world, so lots of little things are now need money and financing, and that needs efficiency, scale, replication, all those good things. So when you looked at all of this, and you know, you guys, I wouldn't class you as a startup. You're a functioning company that's scaling, so you're in growth phase. You go to a market because you see a broken problem. Why were the incumbent utilities why are they not able to kind of do this themselves?
Yeah, it's a good question. Our company was built on people that didn't know how to spell energy. But we came at it from a very different perspective. We came from the world of semiconductors, and in the world of semiconductors, it's all about Moore's law, which is you double the productivity, or you double the transistors at half the cost. So we were ingrained to thinking about how do you lower OpEx. Every time we grew from 100 million to 200 million, you thought that you would have double the budget, but you actually had half the budget. But you still had the pressure to grow. And so with that mentality, we just started asking some really stupid questions. Why are you doing this manually? It's taking you 8 hours, General Electric, to produce a proposal. You're doing it with all people. Well, we can automate that, make it 1 hour process. That translates for them about $800,000 in savings. And we just systematically, like lean manufacturing,
just go through the entire value chain.
Go through every part of the inefficiency, right? And just said, it doesn't have to be that way. And so part of it, what we're bringing is change management, but a new software platform to drive that change management and wring out simple costs And there's roughly about 21 cents or 19 euro cents of operating overhead that gets allocated to every small distributed generation project. And that is the opportunity that we can wring out. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but it is a 10% structural cost advantage for our customer. And when you go through history, whoever achieves a 10% structural cost, Toyota did it in automobiles, Walmart did it in retail, Amazon did it in books, and you go down the chain, Southwest Airlines did it. They all ended up becoming the market leader, and their market cap was greater than all their competitors combined. And the gap was a 10% structural cost advantage or some speed element. And those two gave them unassailable pricing power. And that's what we bring to our customers.
I mean, what else is embedded in the software? I see where you're going with this. And are you also embedding some sort of intelligence into it? Because I would imagine, and I am on shaky turf here, so I will ask some stupid questions, but so bear with me. But financing of projects, there must be some element of replication. There must be some element of knowledge base, and that can also help fast track the process.
So it's a massive learning engine tool. One, because we have maybe the top 10 global power players on our platform. Part of a software vendor's job is to extract best practices and create kind of a pearl that keeps waxing and becoming a beautiful pearl. So we learn and we embed knowledge. So when a brand new player says, so I want to get into renewable energy, they get now an instant product that has years of domain knowledge built into how to systematically build a power plant, invest in it, diligence, and build it. That comes part of our platform. We also took the attitude that the ultimate customer is the bank, and so we said what works for London, and that's financial market and Wall Street and Hong Kong. Those rules are embedded into our platform so that when projects come on, they automatically start developing risk scenarios and reward scenarios and ROI scenarios that are mapped against the ultimate financier, because these projects ultimately have to get pooled, and these banks are going to re-diligence every decision that's made, down to every bolt or every inverter or whatever technology you're using, turbine. That all has to get translated to risk elements. So those are critical pieces of domain knowledge that we bring. What we bring in terms of the software technology is really taking a core product that everybody uses. The investment world, if you go to MBA school, uses Excel. And Excel is a phenomenal product, but at the same time, it's not a collaborative product.
No.
And it is not interactive with other databases. And that's what we basically did, is we took Excel and said, listen, 50 people have to play with it, but they yet at the same time have to retain control. It also requires thousands of inputs and a series of outputs. And Excel, unfortunately, was acting like a single separate tool. To give you an example, I was speaking
version control,
version control, everything.
Yeah.
I was speaking with Exxon. They're not a customer today, but we're just trying to explore the periphery of our software, because today it works in energy generating assets. I was speaking to an executive there, and he said, Haresh, he goes, what you guys have solved for, I spent $40 million with Oracle, trying to get Oracle to speak with Excel. Then I had to bring in Accenture. I spent another $30 million trying to figure out why it still wasn't working. And ultimately, they recommended I put in 9,000 people. So they put people in Eastern Europe and in India to basically solve what we're solving for, which is making Excel a collaborative tool where you can have revision control. So sounds simple, but that's where our secret sauce is.
That's no mean feat. So it seems to me that you're in perfect timing. We're moving into the distributed generation world. We had the case where RWE posted their losses for the first time. First time actually in a long time, a lot of utilities were posting losses. Yeah. Institutional investors, pension funds suddenly going, this backbone of our investment portfolio is starting to crumble. Yeah. And aren't all of those guys going towards renewables and stuff like that? So isn't that going to happen more?
I think you pointed out a very unique opportunity for Mercatus and for the industry. So for the last 4 or 5 years, renewables have been like a land grab. Just go get more projects in the ground, produce more electricity at any cost. Profits don't matter. The last 4 months have been quite humbling because the stock market finally woke up and said, listen, it's about the profits, stupid. And literally that's how loud the message was. And I use that tagline because that's the tagline Bill Clinton had when he was running against George Bush. He said, it's about the economy, stupid. So we actually wrote a blog around that. And for us, it was a great boon because a year ago, literally, customers' number one problem was show me growth. Number two problem was show me growth. Number three was show me growth. And number fourth was, okay, let's talk about operational efficiency. Well, the last 4 months, it has made it painfully obvious that it's about operational efficiency. So for us, it's been an opportunity now to come back and talk to customers and have a real meaningful dialogue of how can we help them with that major problem. But we give them both. We give them the ability to do more with less.
And just as we finish off as well, are you seeing we make an automatic assumption that when we're talking about power plants, we're talking about utilities. Are you seeing different actors coming into the market where they're saying, we can do this? Is that a trend that's coming?
Absolutely, and we see that today. So today there's, the ecosystem, when this becomes a full asset class, there's roughly 12,000 to 16,000 companies that can come into this ecosystem. And the utilities, I think, feel this. I heard this at the conference here more acutely than in the US. They genuinely feel that anybody could Uber them out,
yes,
which is reinvent them out.
Yeah.
And so some of the biggest players have not even entered this market. Think of a major real estate holding company. Think of your cable company. Think of your water company. They have the same access to the home, right, and to the retailers. And they can, with Mercatus' software and the domain knowledge we bring, enter this marketplace and rapidly build a business around helping their customers and helping them diversify. So it's going to be an interesting challenge as this whole transformation goes on. We've seen in other industries, it's a constructive, destructive process.
Well, it is an interesting time, and thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. I think you're echoing some of the points that were made today. Where I think a gentleman for ESB said, "Look, I've been in this industry for 20 years, and it's suddenly become interesting." So there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I hope you found this interesting. It's a different thing, and we stumbled across it at the show. We thought we'd capture the moment and share it with you.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more, get in touch with Haresh and his company. I'm sure they'd be delighted to talk to you. But thank you as well for watching.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Okay.